and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 366. Woo! As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by resident old bastard, Chris Saturn.
So last week, I'd mentioned that you could listen to an episode every day for a whole year, and now you can even do it on a leap year.
There you... He did the math, everyone.
Yep, he's the math. We're good.
As far as housekeeping, I just drank a bunch of coffee and I'm sweaty. So that's what I've going on. I was tired in the last show and I was like, well, I need to be pepped up for the next show. And I think I over-pepped it. I overshot.
Yeah.
I overshot. It's too much espresso. I went too far with the instant espresso.
It's good. It's good for you.
And I'm fast approaching poop o'clock, which is what it does to you. Anyway,
we gotta run through this show so that you can poop again.
We gotta hurry. I'm still painting miniatures and stuff. It's kind of what I've been doing with my kind of free time lately.
I saw that in the notes there. I saw painting miniatures, and for some reason my brain went to painting Hershey's miniatures.
Yeah, painting Hershey's miniatures.
And I just imagined you with a bunch of tiny chocolate bars, just like painting things on them.
Just trying to paint them to look more appetizing.
Good luck.
Kind of got your work cut out for you. I picked up some stuff in the summer sale. I picked up what did I pick up? I picked up and just barely started Mordheim, which is a Games Workshop skirmish fighty dude game. That's the technical term.
Fighty dude game, yeah.
And I got into it, and like so many other Games Workshop games, it was so complicated that I was like, I don't want to read the tutorials. I'll just play it. And then I played it, and I was like, why do I not know what's happening?
What?
I went to look at the tutorials, and I'm like, all right, I'll go play the tutorial level or whatever. And it's like, here's your 15 tutorial videos. Right. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. So bottom line it for me. Kill the bad guys. Done. And so I played a little bit of that, and it was, I don't know if it was good or bad because I can't tell what's happening.
It's good. So that's how a game should work.
It was so complex. Well, I'd seen so in the Games Workshop game universe, that includes many, 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 many games. Yeah. Mordheim is often kind of cited as like, oh, this was the best tabletop game they ever made. I've seen multiple people be like, oh, Mordheim was the best thing they ever did. And you may not know this about Games Workshop, but seeing as how they're a primarily tabletop company and have been for many years, they don't make very super highly rated tabletop experiences.
Oh.
Like in the broad board game tabletop space.
Yeah, I knew they made the little miniatures things for like Warhammer or whatever.
Now, obviously, being a Games Workshop fan, a lot of the time, and this is not true of everyone, but a lot of people I know that are big Games Workshops people, it's kind of like when you meet someone that's like an Apple person, and they're like, oh, everything I buy is Apple.
Right.
And so everything they buy is gauged up against other Apple products because they're in that ecosystem. Right. Games Workshop is very much an ecosystem. So people are in that ecosystem. And so I've gotten lost in my own weeds. Anyway, Mordheim's supposed to be good. And I bought the digital version because God knows I'm not going to be able to find people to play a 20-year-old tabletop skirmish war game with me.
I don't know about that.
And I have no fucking idea what's happening. I was like, I play tactical games, skirmish games. I play tabletop skirmish games occasionally. I know strategy games. I'll be able to figure it out just looking at it. Nope, no fucking clue.
Nice.
It's got like rings and statistics everywhere, and I'm like, I don't know. I give up. I'm gonna go keep playing more Space Marine, where I just chop up dudes with a chainsword. But beyond that, not much in the way of games. I'm thinking there surely has to be something.
How many chainswords are in Mordheim?
So far, 0.
What?
Mordheim is from the fantasy-themed side of Games Workshop.
Well, let me rephrase it then. How many fantasy chainswords are there?
Surprisingly, none.
What?
I would expect at least one steam-powered chainsword. I've yet to encounter a single one.
How dare!
And then I went off on some weird thing last night because I found a tabletop war game that I could play entirely as skeletons. And I was like, well, I have to buy.
Sounds like the perfect game for you.
I was like, I have to buy these and do this because I love skeletons. And then I was like, Justin, fucking stop it. You just want to buy a whole shitload of skeletons. You can do that. You're an adult. You don't need to have a reason to do it.
This is true.
I can just go buy skeletons whenever I want, whenever I feel like. And I've got like a dozen of them on my shelf.
What's your take on Medieval?
Oh, I've never played it, actually.
Really?
Yeah, as big of a skeleton fan as I am, never have played it. No.
Weird.
Have not. Just kind of never, that's what I've heard. And that's why I've not really like particularly sought it out, because the verdict seems to be, it's okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just,
what have you been playing?
So the Silent Hill 2 Enhanced Edition released a new update, which is good.
Oh.
And
is this the bad one?
No. This is the fan project.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
And in the past, in order to either install their mod or to update it, you had to download up to 8 different zip files that some of them were multiple gigabytes large.
Uh-huh.
And then just manually extract them into your install folder. And they have finally released an installer that not only installs all of these packages, but it checks for updates every time you launch the game. And that's so exciting to me that my 20-year-old PC game now pops up and says an update is available.
Mm-hmm.
But it still looks absolutely gorgeous. And they finally fixed a sound issue that's been going on with the game since its original release. That's
nice.
In the original game. So it's super exciting. Very good. If you've not yet played it, go find it. I would say to buy the game to mod it, but no, Konami doesn't want to sell it to you, and used copies are way too much. So just go find it.
Like always, if you want to preserve gaming history, steal it.
Yeah, that's your option at this point.
Go steal it.
Also, I've been playing Saga Frontier because after finishing Final Fantasy Legend 3,
I wanted more Saga.
I had that itch. I was like, I'm going to play some more Saga. And Saga Frontier was one that I really bounced off of when I first played it on PS1.
I only know them by the colors of their banners on Steam. Is that the blue one?
Fuck if I know. It's
kind of blue and white looking.
I guess it was originally a PS1 game.
Yes. Okay.
And it was recently, quote, remastered.
And there's a character in the game named like Crazy Fuse or something like that.
There's a character named Fuse.
Yes. Okay. That's what. All right. Yep. All right. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Also, anytime that you're selecting your characters, it tells you like a brief description of them. And the very first, because you get to pick one of 7 characters to start the game. Mm-hmm. And this time I decided I would start as Amelia, and her description is a former supermodel who chose marriage over work. Which,
you know, is it sad that that's a more positive depiction of a woman than I see in a lot of games?
Yes, that is. Honestly, she is a pretty positive description of a woman. Also, she's trying to hunt down the person who killed her husband, and she's breaking out of jail for it.
Oh, well, that's good. These all sounds like things that my wife would do: is hunt someone down to kill them for revenge, right? All that kind of stuff
with a railgun. And so here's my thing. One, the original PS1 version had these really charming graphics where like the backgrounds were a little muddy PS1 background quality, but the sprites were all these really charming, cartoony, super
like
deformed
big-headed,
sprites.
Kind of chibi looking things. Yeah.
And they are still the same art style, but they are so over enhanced that now they kind of look weird.
A little too chibi.
Yeah. It's really strange. The enemies also are strange. Also, the game is aged poorly, very, very poorly. It's just so awkward. Every transition is awkward. Every menu is awkward. And a lot of the story text, not like incidental text, but story text will auto scroll so quickly that I struggle to read it. And I barely skim text when I'm reading it. So yeah, it's going by real fast. It's just an awkward game.
Maybe they just don't want you to see how bad the story is. So they're like, we'll scroll it real fucking fast and they won't notice.
Oh, I still noticed. It's really bad. And it was always an awkward game. Like even when it came out, I remember thinking this is a bizarre game. Yeah. That like feels like a bunch of disconnected pieces of different games that they just kind of smushed together and hoped you wouldn't notice. Yeah. And seeing it all remastered where they kind of fixed a couple of systems, but other systems they just turned into a mobile game that didn't help.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend this remaster.
So what you're saying is during the summer sale, you should have bought Romancing Saga 3.
I already have that. I have that on my Xbox.
We'll go play that one. Maybe that's the one.
That should probably be the one I play.
I like that we're both now on this journey of like looking for the Saga game that like is the one for us, you know?
I liked the PS2 remaster of Romancing Saga. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Let's do the news.
Yes, sir.
First up, Spain is introducing heavy restrictions on loot boxes, saying that they lead to, quote, thoughtless, compulsive, or even pathological behavior in consumers. What? But they're so ethical and fun.
They can also be ethical and fun.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, right. My bad.
Just...
I guess that's contradictory, isn't it? Oh, well.
Good on Spain. Good on Spain for that one. Glad to see someone
hopefully it becomes
gambling.
Right.
Ubisoft is removing online functions from games like Assassin's Creed 2 and Far Cry 3, which also removes purchased DLC from the games. Hope you didn't want to play these old Ubisoft games. Yeah. Why do you want to play that old blocky shit? We got Far Cry 6 out, featuring the guy from Breaking Bad in it. So play that because fuck you.
Throw your old games in the trash or buy them again whenever they get remastered.
Yeah. Here's some people dancing on stage at E3 for no reason.
Hooray.
Trademark for Intellivision Amico has been abandoned. No extension request was filled when the trademark expired on June 21st.
Filed.
Pardon me. Yeah. Later reinstated, Intellivision assures everyone that they're totally still making a console.
Oh,
You're going to get digital cornhole on your iPod Nano.
Oh, God.
They're going to make it happen.
I was getting worried about the future of digital cornhole.
I think they're just having difficulty sourcing classic iPods, honestly, because there's not a lot, they're harder to find these days.
I think they're having difficulty being solvent. That's my theory at this point.
I think, Tommy Tallarico's off the project. But the question is...
But he's still involved with the project.
The question is, how many pairs of designer pants did he get to spend studio money on before they were like, oh, wait a minute, we're not selling pants? And he was like, no, it's cornhole. And they were like, excuse me? We already have pre-orders. And they were like, why?
Yeah,
and so,
I increasingly believe the only reason they sold physical copies of their digital games so early was because they ran out of money to produce the console. And they are still struggling to produce the console. That's my theory.
I would be shocked if there was one Intellivision Amico in the world right now. I would be genuinely
shocked. One final
shocked.
model, anyway. Prototypes, I'm sure there are plenty.
No, I'm not. I'm not sure there are plenty. I'm sure there are plenty of theoretical prototypes and software running on PCs and stuff.
Look,
I would be
somebody
shocked.
had to get cornhole running on that Android TV.
Yeah, they just ran an APK on an Android TV and had someone play with an iPod and was like, oh, it's Amico, Tommy. Oh God, I just realized Tommy Tallarico kind of rhymes with Amico.
Oh God, that's where they came up with the name, isn't it?
Oh no, that cannot be it. No, for the love of God, please don't be it.
Gross.
The Amico with Tommy Tallarico. No.
Maybe God. For like decades he had planned on releasing the Tallarico Amico. And then he finally bought the Intellivision copyright, and he was like, now I'll finally have the branding.
It's shocking enough to me that Tommy Tallarico is on board with this.
Yeah.
It's even more shocking that an entire company of people, and presumably like investors, consumers, are on board with this.
For all we know, that company exists of 8 people.
Even 8 people is shocking to me.
They could be all his family.
I see. Pulling a phantom, huh? My mother gives me a glowing recommendation. Let me tell you.
She bought me 8 pairs of designer pants.
How dare you call my $300,000 house?
I forgot about that.
Oh God. Where the fuck are we?
No. No, God, we're going even worse.
The world continues to deteriorate.
Right.
The first NFT games console,
Yeah.
the Polium 1, was announced for a 2024 release. Logo is basically the GameCube logo.
Yeah.
Explain to me
No.
what the fuck an NFT games console is?
I don't know.
I mean, you could
tried-
theoretically buy NFTs on any game console
Right.
if the manufacturer approved the ability to purchase them. Like,
Yeah.
how is that? What?
I don't know, and I tried to read up on it, and it didn't make any sense. And every article I found about it is just making fun of it or pointing out all of their failures in their business ideas and designs, and it's just, it looks like such a mess.
Can we put together like a Vaporware Awards? Because I want to. I want to put the Madbox, the Amico, and the Polium all in the running for the Vaporware Awards 2023.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had to disqualify the Polymega because they finally came out with something.
Yeah, it did come out. Yeah, you know, I've been wrong
Props to
before.
them. Yeah.
The CD still never came out.
No, they never came out.
You know.
Call it the Tobias S. Bruckner Awards.
The remake of the PS3 Xbox 360 game Lollipop Chainsaw has been announced. No involvement from either Suda51 or James Gunn. James Gunn, I assume, is probably just too fucking busy, but Suda51 still makes video games.
He does. No, sometimes he takes a break from making video games to make weird videos for Devolver Digital.
That's true, too. That's true, too. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of had no opinion on Lollipop Chainsaw when it came out. I didn't play it, and I couldn't tell if it was, like, good parody or just kind of like masturbatory weird shit.
Yeah, I saw a few clips of it, and it looks like it is trying to go for Evil Dead vibes as far as its writing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it pulls it off just because I didn't watch enough of it. But it was something I was interested in just because I am interested in Suda51 stuff because it's weird and bizarre, and I like that.
If I remember right, I was looking at it, and the protagonist seemed extremely, like, dumb idiot cheerleader. Like, what I wanted was for her to be, like, really smart and capable, which I guess she is physically capable within the game. But if I remember right, and I could be totally wrong, I remember being turned off by her because I was like, well, they just made her, like, dumb and annoying.
For some reason, she had reminded me of the film version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I think I was hoping for more of like a Bayonetta type character.
Oh, yeah, it's not that.
You know what I mean? Someone with a little more agency.
Right.
But again, it's been years, and I really did not pay much attention to the game. I could be very misremembering. And this was also in that very thirsty era of 360 and PS3 games.
What?
I know you're shocked to hear it, because I remember it being around the same time as one of the Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyballs, and like stuff was going on, and I was like, man, video games are thirsty as fuck right now. So I could have just lumped it in with all those when maybe it didn't deserve that.
All right.
Microsoft will no longer offer Xbox 360 titles as part of Games with Gold.
That's unfortunate.
End of an era. Yeah, that's sad. Hopefully they are replacing them with better Games with Gold stuff. But I think they're probably trying to kind of phase away from so many Games with Gold rewards and push Game Pass. Yeah.
And the thing is that it is particularly sad because this was the only one of these like services that you got to keep the games.
Yes.
Because with PS Plus, if you lose your subscription, you lose all the games. With Games with Gold, if you lose your subscription, you lose any of the Xbox One or newer games. But you got to keep all the Xbox 360 games.
Yeah.
So it is a shame to see that. I've got a pretty sizable collection of digital Xbox 360 games now, despite having bought no digital Xbox 360 retail games back in the day. So it's sad to see it go.
I suspect at a corporate level, they consider this as fixing an anachronism more so than like removing a feature.
Right. Yeah. Well, what they said in their release, because all the games they've released on it in some time have all been backwards compatible, so they're all playable on the newer systems. But what they said in their release was there were no additional games they could add to the service due to either negotiating rights or costs or whatever. So it just didn't make any sense to keep repeating the same few games over and over again.
Yeah. So the take a penny, leave a penny tray is gone dry. Yeah. So there you go. Nintendo has finally restored access to the Wii and DSi shop channels so that people can download previous purchased games. Let me tell you, fucking get in there and get them if you're gonna, because it ain't gonna be here for long.
Right?
Just get in there.
That was a dry
quickly.
run. They're doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yuji Naka made some incendiary statements about both Square Enix and Sonic co-creator Naoto Oshima. He also released a photo celebrating the anniversary of Nights where he sloppily photoshopped out Oshima.
Yeah, he's coming across as pretty shitty and catty. It's I can't tell if he's just a dick or if maybe he
he's
was
just been done
really
wrong.
Yeah. But it's hard to say because there have been plenty of stories in the past about him where they're just like he's kind of a dick to work with.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say.
For stories to come out from Japanese development.
Well, this is from Western developers that worked with him that I've seen.
Okay, yeah, Western developers say whatever they want.
Right,
but,
exactly.
Yeah, I do. If you hear it from the Japanese side, they must have fucking ran over someone's dog to have them talking shit because they don't talk anything. They don't fucking say anything about anyone
Unless it's Yuji Naka, because apparently he'll throw you right under the fucking bus.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Also, what's the dude from Platinum Games who will just ban everyone from his Twitter feed?
Oh yeah, what's his name?
Kamiya.
Yeah, Hideki Kamiya.
Yeah.
He just fucking bans
He doesn't
people
give a shit,
constantly.
right?
He yells at people for not speaking Japanese. He's just, but it's one of those things where he's a dick in such I don't want to say a fun way,
Almost a wholesome way.
Yeah, it's almost just like the vanilla version of being a dick. There's no insidiousness or trickery. He's just like, hey, fuck you, and you're like, fuck you, and that's it. That's the interaction.
Don't go glorifying vanilla dicks though. Let's be fair. We need all flavors of dicks in this world.
It's my favorite ice cream flavor. Publisher Pixel Games UK has released a bunch of classic ZX Spectrum and PC games on Steam. So those are out there.
It's some weird selection. I did notice they published Jumpman, which I love Jumpman.
Yes,
but they published
me too.
the CGA DOS port of Jumpman. Which,
Boo.
Guys, come on. At least emulate the Commodore version or something. Apple II. I don't care. Just,
There you go. Enjoy Saturn. Have a good time. Sony's distribution agreement with film distributor Studio Canal has expired in Germany and Austria. Users who purchased their films or TV shows via PlayStation will have those purchases removed from their libraries. Enjoy these purchases you made. You can't have them anymore.
Yeah, they're
Goodbye.
gone now. And this is another reminder that if you buy a digital product, you're just renting it.
Yes, according to the terms of service, you do not own the product.
Yeah,
period.
And this is Studio Canal is apparently the distributor for King of the Hill in Europe.
No!
I am so sorry to all of our German and Austrian friends who had purchased King of the Hill because now you don't own it anymore, and that's unfortunate.
I've been rewatching King of the Hill a little bit on Hulu.
Yeah,
and it's shocking to me to watch it now as an adult and see how much of it is obviously trying to poke fun at Texas.
Yes.
But how much of it as a kid seemed totally I was like, this isn't a comedy. It's just totally fucking normal people having normal lives saying normal things.
Oh no, I got it. I was old enough to get it the first time.
I was younger, Yeah. I mean, I was little when it started airing in 96, 97,
Something
98,
like
and
that.
somewhere in that range. Yeah. I mean, I was 8 or 9. I was like, this is just regular life. I mean, there was some goofiness. So, a little bit of shenanigans, but I was like, no, this all seems normal. And watching it now as an adult, I'm like, man, shit was fucked up.
Yeah. Watching that show, I remember when it first started airing, the first few episodes, I was like, I get it, it's funny, but some of this is hitting way too close to home, guys. This is a little too real.
Still the most accurate depiction of Texas life that I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In any media. So if you ever want to actually know what it's like, King of the Hill, that's it, man. I mean, dead on. Yep. Incompetence and everything.
Yeah.
All the way down the line.
I know so many Peggy's and Luann's in my life. There's dozens and dozens of them.
I still fucking love the episode when Peggy goes to Mexico, but she can't speak Spanish. And they leave a fucking kid there or something? Or no, they took an extra kid home. I don't remember.
Oh man.
And the kid was trying to say, like, I'm not in your class. I live here, and she doesn't speak Spanish, so she's like, oh yeah, bueno, and just like putting her on the bus. We're on a tangent.
What?
Let's get to the topic at hand. This week we're talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. If you're in UK, please insert the word hero where applicable. Synopsis: Saturn wrote, "What happens when you try to jam too much paper in your shredder? It wants to get revenge."
Yeah, that's what it is.
This was developed by Tribute Games. It was published by Dotemu, released on June 16th, 2022 on PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, all applicable platforms except for the Atari VCS.
What about Stadia?
And no, it's not on Stadia.
No.
Not on Stadia. Yeah, I know. It's heartbreaking. But yeah, just came out. I bought it. The day it came out was my last day of vacation, so I bought it like before we got in the car to drive home, and so that was my on the way home entertainment. And I've since beaten story mode and continued playing it a little bit. And yeah.
When did your Game Pass expire?
I still have Game Pass.
Oh, so you had it already on Game Pass, and you could have just streamed it to your phone, and you chose instead to purchase it.
I feel like you're constantly overestimating driving through rural Texas and streaming
right.
xCloud.
Texas,
I mean,
right.
come
That's
on. We were coming up through Corpus, like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, for 15 minutes outside of Austin, I would have been able to stream via xCloud and play with touch controls. It would have been fucking stellar, Let me tell you. But yeah, so no, I picked it up day one and have been playing it and enjoying it. And I think you just played it for the show.
Yeah, I played it a couple days ago. I had not picked it up because we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago about how this is pretty much targeted at not me.
Yes. Yes.
And so I just skipped on it, and then we were talking about doing it for the show, and I was like, oh, it's on Game Pass, I'll give it a shot. Yeah. And I did, and I gave it a shot.
What a glowing endorsement.
Hooray.
On the back of the box, quote, "I tried it." Chris Saturn.
Played it for a bit.
Tell me about the development of Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah, so Tribute Games, they were founded in 2011 by former Ubisoft Montreal employees who had worked on games like Scott Pilgrim and the 2007 TMNT GBA game. Mm-hmm. And as Tribute, they have made games like Ninja Senkai, which was supposedly inspired by games like Ninja Jajamaru-kun and Mega Man.
Yep.
As well as Wizorb, which is like...
Wizorb fucking rules.
Right, yeah. It's basically Arkanoid with RPG elements.
Yeah, it's Arkanoid if you are a wizard.
Yeah.
And you get spells, and there's a little shop, and it's so
pretty
cute. Great. Oh, I love it. And I didn't realize that they made Mercenary Kings.
Yes.
Which is also an awesome run and gun, like Metal Slug, open world-ish kind of... Oh, man, that's a good game.
Right. So they got some pedigree. Right,
played a ton of that on PS4. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And after they formed their independent studio, they almost immediately were pitching the idea of a new Turtles game to Nickelodeon.
Yes, and, Nickelodeon Viacom owns Turtles.
Right.
I want to say outright entirely at this point. I don't think that Eastman or Laird have any. I know Laird gave up his ownership a long time ago, but I don't think Eastman has any ownership whatsoever.
From what I could tell, they bought the IP outright. So
yeah,
and and Nickelodeon just kept saying, oh, maybe, I don't know, yeah, maybe, and just kept, just putting them off and not really answering. But then after the release of Lizard Cube's Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap remake that I was a huge fan of, and I believe you were a huge fan of.
Oh yeah,
because Dotemu had published that, and after that, Dotemu was approached by Nickelodeon and asked if they would like to work on one of their franchises, and they said yes, and then. Through the grapevine, they learned that Tribute was trying to make this Turtles game, so Dotemu reached out to Tribute at GDC and said, hey, do you want to work together and make a Turtles game?
Yeah.
And so they said they were obviously inspired by classic Konami brawlers. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone.
I mean, it's going to sound weird to say, but if you're just going by the Konami TMNT brawlers... I feel like the only things it has in common with those is that it is Ninja Turtles themed and there is punching.
And its art style is similar. And you can throw dudes at this camera.
You can. Yeah. It's, okay. All
got
right.
that.
All
And
right.
there's pizza involved.
Yes.
And there's different types of pizza.
I like that you're still trying to draw these parallels. There's
Right.
4 turtles.
Yeah, there are 4 turtles.
The
it's
shredder's
multiplayer.
there. It's
That brain guy Craig is there.
yeah, Craig the Brain Man. That's what they call him from the dimension.
Yeah. He's got his feet with him.
Yeah, there you
He's got
go.
all of his feet ninjas, all of them both.
Brought all his parts.
Anyway, but yeah, so they said that while it was inspired by the Konami games, they did want to make it feel much more modern. They wanted to add a bunch of quality of life improvements, and most importantly, they wanted to make it feel faster and snappier.
Yeah.
The soundtrack was composed by T. Lopez, who had also worked on Sonic Mania and Streets of Rage 4. And vocals for this game is all over the place. So you had some vocals from Faith No More's vocalist Mike Patton. You also had a YouTuber named Johnny Atma. I think he did the theme song, if I remember right.
I think I'm trying to remember. I don't know. The theme song is definitely weird.
Yeah.
It is not the original theme song.
Right.
It is
Well,
a
it's the
rendition.
song. It's the original song, but it's not the recording.
But it's like in a different key or something. Like there's
it's
something
slightly
off
off.
about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also you have a rapper, Mega Ran, provided some vocals, as well as we mentioned previously, Ghostface Killah and Raekwon of the Wu-Tang Clan.
I do want to talk about the soundtrack real quick because there are some really great tracks. Panic in the Sky is T. Lopez, the Sonic Mania composer, and Johnny Atma. That's my favorite track in the whole thing.
Nice.
It's great. And then We Ain't Come to Lose was Raekwon and Ghostface Killah, which was also great. Mega Ran does do a track at the end that's pretty good. It's not the best one, but it's pretty good. Mega Ran's parts are at least fantastic, and that dude just continues to put out a massive catalog of work all of the time.
Right.
But I do feel like the few highly produced vocal tracks from great artists kind of make the regular soundtrack sort of pale a bit in comparison, you know?
Sucks.
Like, the regular soundtrack is still great.
Yeah.
But then you're bringing in really amazing artists to really just put out, like, not even video game tracks, just tracks.
Nice.
And they're so good that when you then transition from, like, the level with Panic in the Sky or We Ain't Come to Lose, and then you go to the next level, and you're like, oh, now it's just kind of like generic turtley music. You know,
So-
it feels a little
So
weird.
it's hearkening the days when I would play a game on Sega CD and you'd have the one level that was all CD quality audio, and then
Yes.
the next level was using the Genesis's cat farting sound chip.
Yeah. Which again, the regular soundtrack, the instrumentals, it's great.
Yeah.
But when it's like, oh, you're coming from like legendary artists, and then it's like, okay, now here's some generic thematic music. You're like, oh, okay,
Right.
It's still good, but
It was always
I don't know.
That was always such a harsh thing back in those early days of CD games, where you'd have this one like Red Book quality audio track that
And
was
then you straight
fantastic,
to MIDI after that,
and then immediate switch to like, even if it was a great MIDI song, it'd just be like a full instrumental, and then.
I don't know if it's quite that jarring.
Yeah, right.
But
right,
I do
obviously.
think that the good tracks in this get you really pumped.
Yeah.
And then it kind of feels like there's some aural momentum lost a little bit.
So it's basically going from like just a really great music track to a pretty solid video gamey track.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like were I to be in charge of development, I would take these few tracks that we're getting from these really great artists with good with vocals and stuff, and I would stack them all at the end in kind of like this big crescendo, right?
Or would it make sense to try to use them for like animated cutscenes or something?
No, because I want to really listen to it the whole time I'm in the level.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Let's talk presentation, because I have a lot to say about presentation.
Yeah.
Which this is the longest presentation segment we've ever had in the notes ever, probably. This is based on the 80s animated series. For people that don't know, there have been many versions of the Turtles, both before and after the Fred Wolf produced 1987 or whatever cartoon show.
There were 4 turtles.
Yeah, well, 5 if you count Next Mutation, where they
What is-
added the lady turtle. Her name was Venus de Milo.
Oh, Lady Turtle.
People didn't like Next Mutation because
Wasn't there like a
bad.
mutant turtle or a robot turtle or something?
There's Robot Turtle Metalhead. There's Slash, who's the prehistoric turtle. There's Toka and Razor. One of them's a dog, and the other one's Snapping Turtle, I think.
Okay.
So there's many turtles. Okay.
It sounds like there's an increasing number of turtles.
And I will say, I said this in the Discord, the 80s version of the Turtles is not the best cartoon version of the Turtles. But it is the one that everyone seems to remember and have the most nostalgia for and talk about the most. I assume it's usually people that have not watched the 1987 series since they were children.
Yeah.
Because just some Turtles trivia. The first 3 episodes were a 3-part pilot that aired, I want to say, during prime time.
Probably.
And they were very highly produced. If you don't watch any of the 87 Turtles ever, watch those first 3 episodes because they're just a really good, hour and a half long kind of made-for-TV movie. Very well animated, very well done. Mm-hmm. And then it goes into regular cartoon production. And it is full of constant errors. They put the wrong voices, the wrong colors on the wrong turtles. It's problematic. Later on, it's just literally selling toy lines.
What?
It is not the best version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by any stretch of the imagination, but it is the one people seem to have the most childhood nostalgia for. A whole generation. No one has generationally. Our generation was more gripped by Turtle Mania than any generation since, so it makes sense that they would use the 80s animated series for the visual basis of this. And it's very cute, very well done. It's that kind of Paul Robertson style, sort of pseudo chibi, cartoony, Scott Pilgrim-y video game looking art style. Everything's very bouncy and animated.
Yeah, I do really like the UI elements, like in the little health bars and everything.
Yes,
how it's got
everything's very cute.
Yeah, the little chibi turtle up there is just the most adorable fucking thing.
Oh yeah, super adorable looking game. It has tons of callbacks to the TV show. Callbacks to the previous games, especially Turtles in Time, other various bits of TMNT stuff. You've got Pizza Monsters.
This is probably all the stuff that went right past me.
Yeah, you've got Vernon and Irma from Channel 6. Channel 6 was where April O'Neil worked, and then she had her boss, and then Vernon and Irma, and all these characters from the Channel 6 TV thing, right?
She's Jumpsuit Lady, right?
Jumpsuit Lady, you got it. You got the Punk Frogs, which are in there, which if I remember right, in the canon of the cartoon, they were treated by the city as heroes, and they would always get credit for things the Ninja Turtles did.
Those jokes.
And so that was always the joke. You've got the Neutrinos, which are kind of like 50s doo-wop alien college students.
That's normal, yeah.
That are in there. Probably a ton of other references I missed or just didn't talk about. Lots and lots and lots of stuff that were toys. A lot of vehicles that were in the show and became toys. Like the thing the Rat King is riding on, which I'm pretty sure he was on in Turtles in Time. Just tons and tons and tons of visual callbacks. It's kind of too many to even really keep track of.
It's very much fan service.
Oh, insane amounts of fan service.
Yes.
There's callbacks to specific lines from the original cartoon.
Nice.
The people that made this fucking love the Ninja Turtles, specifically the 80s Turtles. This is definitely a labor of love. You don't get this level of deep cut Turtles references without really enjoying it, right? Like we said, the opening theme was kind of redone in a way that it sounds a little different. I don't think it's bad. I think it's a great version of the song, but it's just close enough and just different enough that it's kind of a little uncanny,
Yeah, it's just a different vocalist. Apparently I don't know if they needed to get a different vocalist, maybe for some rights issues or something.
Yeah.
But they definitely changed it slightly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe it's a rights thing, but then Viacom's on board. I mean, Viacom owns it all outright.
Yeah, but they might not own the master recordings for the opening.
Maybe. The voice cast. Most of the original voice cast returned to do voices for the game. James Avery as Shredder obviously had to be redone.
Right.
His voice in particular sounds pretty wrong. but he doesn't have very many lines. It kind of seemed like they were a little aware of how out of place he sounded.
How can he get revenge if he's not having too many lines?
Well, he just shakes his fists and is like, "Oh, turtles!" That's just his general demeanor, right?
That's my general demeanor too.
Interesting fact: the original cartoon version actually had a grand total of 4 different people voicing Shredder at various points.
Oh, so they could have gotten any of them.
Everyone remembers James Avery's performance. I mean, that's the and then the ones that came in were imitating James Avery, like that was fair. Shredder. Pat Fraley didn't return, and he notably voiced Krang, Craig the Brain Man.
Yeah, right.
Casey Jones, Hockey Man.
Yeah, good Hockey Man.
And Baxter Stockman, Fly Man.
Fly, yeah. That's Jeff Goldblum.
And Jeff Goldblum's the Fly, as seen in the 1987 Ninja Turtles cartoon show.
Exactly, yeah.
Splinter also has a new voice actor. So Pat Fraley did a lot of different voices in the show, and not having him kind of hurts. Krang in particular is all wrong. In the 80s cartoon show, Krang and Shredder had like this like old bickering married couple relationship, and missing that in something that is otherwise so faithful to the 80s cartoon, you kind of feel it a little bit. You're like, hey, I want them like yelling at each other about dumb shit and stomping around and having little spats about things.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend that I watched a ton of it, but what I did see, it always kind of reminded me of the same dynamic that like Cobra Commander and Destro had.
Yes, that same kind of like weird, like married couple, like Archie Bunker and his wife kind of relationship, where you're like, are they really your minion? Or why
did so many 80s cartoons do that?
I don't know, because even so Megatron weird. And Starscream kind of had it.
Yeah.
And you're like, why are they acting like an old married couple?
Maybe that whole dynamic just became so popular from sitcoms in the 50s, 60s, and 70s that they just had to keep using it.
Well, also, you had to have, and even like Skeletor and Evil Lyn.
Yes.
It's, Skeletor, the ultimate pissed off husband. So I think a lot of it is just that in this era of animation, everything was like, we want to mass produce. We need to pump out as many fucking episodes as we can. Right. We're going to farm He-Man out to Funimation. We're going to farm any animation out that we can to get shows out there to sell toys.
Right.
And I think when you're doing that, I mean, Ninja Turtles ran until 1996.
Yeah.
You cannot have a show running till 1996 if your villains are effective. You can't. Like, if Cobra Commander got serious for one episode, that would be the end of the show.
If that'd be a weird episode if suddenly Cobra Commander had nukes.
Yeah, but fucking Cobra Commander was so shitty, they later replaced him with the man who, like, was a snake.
Yeah, Serpentor.
Yeah, Serpentor. What a fucking stupid name.
But then Cobra Commander came back and he was all crystalline.
Serpentor! What?
The best part is you can't tell if I'm being serious.
It's like the name of like my shitty snake druid in D&D. I am Serpentor the Mighty. Like this.
He was my favorite G.I. Joe for a little while there because he came with a little vehicle. That's great.
I do love that the Foot Clan are kind of at their goofiest ever here. They're constantly seen throughout the game just doing dumb shit, including but not limited to fixing cars, playing Game Boy, being stuck in trash bags, running a televised cooking show.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
Working in a mall food court, and typing on computers at a desk job.
Oh, I love that one.
They literally, like, they kind of turned in, it's like a Gremlins 2 situation. Like, they're really just, like, doing everything, and it's hilarious. Because they were never quite so prominently goofy in the show. They were just kind of like putties from Power Rangers. They're just the throwaway bad guys that you punch once and they go away and they're gone. Just pretend you know what I'm talking. Just pretend you know what I'm saying, Saturn.
Of course,
it's be like, yeah, the putties.
Putty, right?
God damn it! It's like silly putty. It's like the little Cobra dudes that Cobra Commander commanded.
Oh, just like silly putty.
Yep. I see the problem now. You overestimate silly putty. The Technodrome is in its destroyed state in Dimension X, which is possibly a reflection of its destruction in the 87 cartoon, where it was eventually left in the end of the series.
Like we all.
The overworld itself is adorable. It's very Scott Pilgrim-y.
See, I was playing in arcade mode, so I never saw an overworld.
Oh, you never saw the cute. Oh, it's so cute. It's just this tiny little thing you drive around your little turtle van to different. Oh, it's cute.
That does sound adorable. I might have to check that
and
one
there's a small handful of quests that all involve kind of finding collectibles in the levels or doing the challenges in the levels. I will say my only major issue with the presentation is that the very scaled down and kind of cute way they're presenting the game makes it feel like a little less globe trotting or time trotting than like Turtles in Time. This one largely takes place in the city of New York. You have a brief respite in Dimension X as you go through there for a few levels. But it just feels a little kind of thematically scaled down compared to like Turtles in Time, by comparison, was all over the fucking place. They're like, every level, we're going to go wherever we want. You know, now you're prehistoric. Now you're on a fucking pirate ship. Now you're in fucking space. We don't know. Like, they just do it. So
they went for the regular Konami thing instead of the regular Turtles thing, where they were just like, each level is a different theme.
So instead of, it feels a little less thematically expansive, you know. Which
makes sense. It's a little more down to earth.
It does feel that way. It feels to me very reminiscent of the original 3-episode pilot, which is just kind of scaled down. The turtles fighting Shredder and Krang. There's some shenanigans, and that's really it. And then other enemies pop up for like little appearances here and there.
I did notice that, at least in arcade mode, the second level was called Big Apple 3 p.m., which I thought was a cute reference.
Yeah, there's so many cool references. Let's talk gameplay, which originally Saturn wrote the notes, and he wrote Walk Right, Punch Dudes, which I want to argue with so bad.
But
in my head, I was trying to think of a reductive comeback about JRPGs where I'm like, listen to people talk and flip through menus. Like, that was my line.
That's good. I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's correct.
So let's talk playable characters.
You have left off my third part of the gameplay.
Oh, what is that?
Be a turtle, optional.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Optionally, be a turtle.
Yes.
So playable characters, you have all four of the main turtles.
Yes.
Their stats and attacks are kind of what you'd expect. Leonardo's kind of the all-rounder. Donatello has the most range. Raphael's the strongest. Michelangelo is the fastest. And on the character select screen, they all have different stats, so you can see like who's got what going on. You can play as April O'Neil, which, as far as I know, is the first time she's ever been playable in a non-fan Turtles game.
Was she not in Tournament Fighters?
I don't remember being in Tournament Fighter.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
I do not remember. She has high speed, medium range, low power. You have Splinter, who is high power, medium range, low speed. And then you have Casey Jones, who you unlock by beating the story mode, also known as Hockey Mask Man to Saturn.
Yeah, Hockey Man.
And he has the highest range, medium power, and medium speed, making him kind of the highest statted character in the game. And they all do play relatively differently. It's going to sound sad. I was playing as multiple characters at once with the same controller for a little bit, just to kind of get the
just get a feel for them,
just to get a feel for them, and having them directly on top of each other, you do really notice the differences in speed and range and stuff like that. So the stats aren't just vestigial, you know. They really do kind of make a small but meaningful difference in the gameplay.
That's fair.
The characters do level up through story mode play. You unlock new moves, extra lives, extra health, extra special bars.
I was not aware of any of that, having played the arcade version.
Yeah. You can, there's difficulty options. A double jump is available, also unlocks as you upgrade.
All of that sounds better than the arcade mode.
Yeah, arcade mode. It's very bare bones.
That's what I expected. I was like, it's a brawler. The arcade mode's going to give me everything I'm going to see from it.
Well, when you select arcade mode, it's like, hey, this is the hardest version of the game. Are you sure you want to do this? And you just button mashed your way through it, apparently.
I don't remember even seeing it, but I assume that my thought process would have been, oh, they just mean that there are lives here. I know how that works. I play video games.
No.
But no.
So once you unlock all 3 super bars, you can activate radical mode. Which
how radical is it?
It's pretty radical. You start flashing, and you just seem to move faster and do a shitload more damage. That's basically it.
Can't you just get that from a power-up?
Well, the power-ups are different than radical mode.
My bad.
I'm going to get to the power-ups.
All right.
But there is also this really cool mechanic, which actually we haven't even talked about. So when you start the game, there's like a 21-segment how-to-play thing, tutorial. That I don't fucking know why. It's so long.
Yeah, it was.
And it's virtually useless because it's so long that by the time you get to the end, you're like, I haven't gotten to perform any of these moves, so I'm retaining none of this.
Yeah,
you have a regular attack, you have a special move attack that you have to fill your bar to use. You have a jump, but then you also have, and this is my favorite innovation that they've added, is a dodge button.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Which is superior to a block button, because the reason I didn't like Scott Pilgrim was, one, enemies were just HP sponges in that game. It was crazy. Sure. But then also, the blocking. I don't like blocking in games. Or brawlers, I should say. Or even tournament fighters. Any kind of fighting game, like, I don't want to be blocking. And the dodge is great. It lets you dodge through attacks. It lets you dodge through projectiles. It really adds a lot of dynamism to the actual gameplay, because suddenly you're worrying about dodging attacks, and you're always because it's a dodge, you're not just standing there, you're always in motion. And so it's always compelling you to move around the arena and interact with the game, which I think is way better than a dumb block button. You've got, jump attacks and stuff like that. You unlock better jump attacks and jump super attacks and things kind of as you play.
Right.
But then anytime you use the taunt maneuver, you fill your entire special bar.
Oh, the entire bar?
Yeah.
Oh, because I would have to hold taunt for a minute to fill it up in arcade mode.
Well, I was playing story mode, and I would press taunt, and the taunt was long. It's like a 3 or 4 second taunt. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to get it off. So it's not really like an I win button.
Right.
But if you complete it, you fill a super bar.
Yeah. But if you get hit, you get an achievement.
Yeah, you get an achievement for getting hit while taunting, but you do not get a super bar. But what that means is you can basically go from screen to screen with always a full super if you're taunting a lot. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like it a lot because it causes you to use your super, or for me anyway, it caused me to use my super a lot more than I would have otherwise, because I'm not trying to save it, right? When you're in kind of the latter half of the level and you're like, oh, I want to save it for the boss. If there's not any ads on this boss, it might be hard to get my super, and I don't know. This just meant that I would just use it constantly, and I liked that. I liked that the design compelled me to be, one, dodging around the arena and moving and being active, and two, to be always using my super basically anytime it was full, because why the fuck not? I can just charge it up again. It just takes a second.
I was still ignoring it out of fear. What if I couldn't charge it again?
You can, though, Saturn.
But what if something hits me?
You can. So it all kind of culminates in this really kind of interactive, fun brawler that's much more than just walk right and punch. You have to worry about, getting you super full, timing it, judicious use of radical mode, dodges, throws. It really is a rather complex brawler.
I would say that judicious use of radical mode is a description of our entire podcast up to this point.
We need to judiciously use our radical mode, Saturn. But I guess what I'm really getting around to is I really, really love this design as a brawler. It's and what I really enjoy about it is it feels much less technical than Streets of Rage 4, which is also an outstanding game. Yeah. Because you can really just kind of fucking ignore all of it and just kind of punch and roll around and be fine, and not know about the different kinds of throws and grabs and the 2 different kinds of jump attacks and jump super. And you can just punch them, hit Y when your bar is full, and you'll do totally fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's the difference there, is the accessibility, right? Because in something that's more my kid could never play Streets of Rage 4. It's a pretty technical brawler.
Sure. My
kid beat the first level of Ninja Turtles. It's the first time she ever beat a first level. Nice. She was so excited by herself. And
now I'm excited to hear that you enjoyed it, just because I know that you were not a big fan of Scott Pilgrim. And it's the same design team, essentially.
Yes. And I appreciate a ton of what Scott Pilgrim was doing. Sure. I just don't love the gameplay of it. It feels very HP spongy, very block heavy. Now, eventually you can grind your way up to insane levels and it doesn't matter.
Is how I finished it.
But I don't want to do that. I want the game to be fun from when I start. That's why I play brawlers. Is I don't want to grind. I just
between you not enjoying their their previous brawler, and also it being based on your least favorite version of Ninja Turtles. I was a little worried that it was going to end up disappointing you. So I'm glad that you ended up enjoying it.
They're not my least favorite version of the Turtles. There are worse versions of the Turtles.
I thought you said it was the worst cartoon version.
I think it may be the worst cartoon version.
Okay.
So, it's definitely better than the third live-action movie, the live-action TV series, some of the comic runs, and it may arguably be better than the current animated run of Rise of the TMNT, which I have not watched, but looks terrible.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a live-action TV show. That sounds awful.
Oh, yeah, it was called Next Mutation. It's where Venus de Milo was from. And it was awful. Yeah, it was very low production value, and the Ninja Turtles were basically people in, like, foam suits.
Score.
Because they didn't want to go through the effort of using, like, the Jim Henson Creature Workshop suits, which they didn't even use in the fucking second and third movies. All three of the live-action movies have different suits that look increasingly worse.
Well, it takes a lot of time to get into a good costume. And it takes very little time to get into a shitty costume.
By the third movie, their fucking mouths weren't even moving half the time.
Sweet.
It was so bad. So yeah, all this to say that I think this really hits that nice line between being very technical if you want it. And there are a couple, like literally one or two areas of the game where to progress, you do have to use some of the more technical maneuvers. The one that comes to mind is there's a boss fight where you have to do the throwing them at the screen grab to hurt the boss, kind of like Battletoads level 1 boss style.
Right.
Or like there's a level in Turtles in Time where you have to do that. So it's a callback specifically to a Turtles game, so I'm kind of okay with it. But other than that, yeah, I love the design. I love that they really just jammed in kind of an absurd amount of characters from the cartoon. It's kind of like it's a lot.
Yeah,
they crammed a lot in there. I didn't put a section in here for the story because the story is basically they're trying to get all of Krang's parts together to do bad things, and then at the end of it, they put Krang inside the Statue of Liberty, and you fight that. And that's it. That's basically the story. And then there's a final boss after that I won't spoil for anybody. But yeah, story-wise, there's not much going on. There's kind of these semi-animated cutscenes between the levels. Is the final boss that decaying costume from that one Turtles movie that was put on auction a couple years ago? Because that's the most terrifying thing that could come from it. It should be. It should be the final boss. I will say I'm really, really hoping that they add some expansion packs or something, or extra levels or DLC or anything.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them add some DLC. They've done it before.
I would be happy to have, like, more characters. I was really kind of hoping when the Punk Frogs showed up that when you beat the game, you could, like, palette swap for the Punk Frogs. I thought that'd be funny. But they don't seem to be... I don't know. It's still early. We'll see how it all works out. Now, on its own, it is a complete package. I did play some online. Me and my daughter played with Andrew via Steam Deck to Steam Deck.
Nice.
And it worked great.
You and Andrew were touching your decks against each other?
Yeah, we were playing with our decks. Yeah. My daughter was there. It was a good time. Yeah. Played some Shredder's Revenge, and it was a good time.
Getting these shredders involved with your decks, that's not a good idea.
Played Shredder's Revenge with my deck. That's what I do. And so I love the accessibility here. I love how fast and breezy it is, jumping in and out of it, playing online. It's cross-play. You party up and you just jump into the game. It's just a really, really great, accessible, fun, cute brawler. It's just it's good on every front that I could possibly think of. My only complaint is that there's not more of it, that they don't go to more locations, that, and when my only complaint is that it's not bigger and there's not more of it, I think that they did exactly what they should have done, which is left me wanting more, right?
Do you think they can follow it up with a sequel? Like a full sequel?
Absolutely. I think they could do a sequel. I think they could do expansion packs. I mean, with the overworld, like, you really kind of loop around the same overworld. I could see them adding an expansion pack, and then you go into a portal and go somewhere else. Maybe we go back to Dimension X. Maybe we do some other locations. Maybe we do some time travel shenanigans. I mean, the Ninja Turtles, like, it's an open ocean of settings. Like, they literally include space and time travel as kind of a base part of their general storylines. So you could just do whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. I didn't touch on power-ups. They're what you expect. They're mostly all pizza. There's the POW pizza that puts you in like an auto-attack super move, which is kind of similar to the other Turtles brawlers. You have the green pizza that restores your health. There's also a sushi variant that causes the turtles to all shout, "Ew, raw fish," when you pick it up. Weird. But it does the same thing, which is a line from the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because sushi grossed them out. They didn't want to eat it. And then there's the dual pizza. I love this one. This is new. You pick up a dual pizza, and it restores the health of all the players.
Oh, like the pizza in Earthbound.
Yeah, like the pizza in Earthbound. And I like this a lot because what you run into is when you're playing the game, people fight over the pizza. It's like, oh, I have lower health. Yeah, but you're better at the game. Can I have the pizza? Oh, shit, I stepped on the pizza and you needed it. Oh, fuck you. Also, I didn't even talk about this. There's a revive mechanic. Anytime someone goes down, you can go stand over them and try to force feed them pizza. And they'll pop back up at like half health.
Well, you fucking eat this.
Which is great.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was gross, because force feeding someone pizza is a little gross.
I'm sorry. Are you telling me that a grown man in a hockey mask force feeding pizza to an unconscious mutant turtle isn't fucking hilarious? Because it is.
Yeah, but what about a mutant turtle force feeding pizza to a woman in a jumpsuit?
Still hilarious.
Oh, okay. Fucking eat this.
Couple throw pillows, a TV news reporter. There's the rainbow pizza that gives you infinite super for a limited amount of time. It's kind of mechanically not too different from the POW pizza because you're just spamming your super.
Right.
But it's fun. It's different, so it's fun. Tons and tons and tons of different types of foot soldiers show up doing all sorts of. They're every color of the rainbow with every weapon you can imagine. It's just, I cannot stop gushing about this game. It's so much fun. It's just a fun, good time.
Nice.
And I like it. And now Saturn can talk for a minute.
What?
Hello.
Hi. Now, I played the arcade mode, so that's my entire experience with it. And
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And it still seemed fine. I liked being able to dodge roll and shit. That was fun.
Yes.
But I am not enough of a brawler fan to have much of an opinion, so I'm glad that you were able to carry most of that, because I did not notice most of these things playing the game. Even like the mechanical things I didn't notice. I was
yeah. Well, a lot of them like radical mode, like double jump and stuff, like you unlock it as you level up.
I didn't see any of that. And even like a lot of the things that it taught you in the tutorial, I had, like you mentioned, I completely forgot by the time
I never watched the tutorial one time. I just hit the pause button, went to options, and then looked at the maneuvers list, which I don't know why they don't just fucking be like, here's the maneuvers list, press A to skip. Like,
right. But yeah, I know I sat through the entire tutorial because I was like, I'm not that great at brawlers to begin with. I should at least learn what all these things are. And then I felt immediately overwhelmed and just continued to hammer on the, I think it was the X button.
Well, I think looking at good things here, you went into it with the worst possible first impression and played the worst possible version of the game and still had a good time.
Yeah, I still thought it was fine. It's not enough to like sell me on Turtles as a universe, but you know, I thought it was still a good time.
Yeah. It did make me want to go back and watch some of the 87 show again. So I think I'm going to get my tapes out because I have it all on VHS.
That's good.
Because this is normal. I'm a normal person.
That's totally a normal human behavior, is to own a bunch of VHS tapes of a cartoon from your childhood.
Yeah, I feel like yeah.
Normal.
It does seem to have been well received as far as reception.
Yeah.
People seem to be really enjoying it. Legacy, we have no fucking idea. It's still the hot new shit.
Right.
I'm really hoping to see like more playable characters, expansion, anything. But I think if it never got anything, it would still be a totally great brawler. If maybe you played Streets of Rage 4, possibly on my advice, and found it a little too technical, a little too, I don't want to say difficult, but just technical, I guess. This is more like fun party mode brawler, which I think is the sweet spot for Turtles anyway. I would have not liked to have seen a highly technical brawler from them.
I would have a hard time imagining that any fan of the classic Turtles arcade games wouldn't enjoy this.
Yeah, this is just an outstanding game. Have had such a blast with it, and am frustrated that there's not more of it for me to experience.
Just replay the old arcade games; they're just as good, right?
Honestly, I was thinking about this, and I wanted to make this statement on the show before we get into. I guess this is final thoughts.
All right.
I think this is hands down the best Turtles game to date.
But what about the Commodore 64 port of the NES game?
Oh, I included that in my estimation.
Oh, that's amazing.
And what I mean by that is I have a lot of love for Turtles in Time. I have a lot of love for NES Turtles. I have a lot of love for a lot of Turtles games.
Sure.
But this one just came out of the gate swinging, fun, lighthearted. It's everything I want like a Turtles property to be. It's fantastic, and nice. I just really desperately want more of it. Please make more. Make some more. Hurry. Quickly. I'm done. Hurry.
Yeah, as somebody who is not typically a fan of brawlers and is also not interested in Turtles at all, I have been incredibly happy to see so many fans of both of those things praising this, because I'm the kind of guy who just really enjoys other people liking things. I'm that weirdo. Mm-hmm. And it's been nice to see a big revival project like this not immediately get shit on by everybody.
Yeah,
because we have enough of that. Damn it! So
I think it's
been nice.
I think it's also right place, right time. You know, it's just a very fun, lighthearted, accessible, enjoyable, celebratory experience. Yeah. And I think maybe I just really needed that right now.
And also, there's a hockeyman.
There's a hockeyman, and I do. The hockeyman is my main. I got Michelangelo to level 10, so now I'm going to get hockeyman to level 10.
Good. And
then I'm just going to keep on trucking down the line and playing
Max them all out.
I'll say this might be the most fun I've had with a brawler since Castle Crashers, possibly. Nice. I don't want to say it's better or worse than Castle Crashers, because I haven't really seriously put hours into Castle Crashers since Castle Crashers first came out.
Right.
But yeah, it's
also they're different kinds of games.
They definitely are. Yeah, definitely are. And Castle Crashers is for sure a little bit more expansive. This is, I think it's 16 levels. You could probably get through the whole game in, I don't know, 2-3 hours, maybe.
Not me.
Not Saturn, but he was also playing on the hardest difficulty with no upgrades and no overworld and no quests. You missed out on all the good stuff.
I did miss
you got to go play story mode. We can play together.
I'll give it a shot.
All right,
I've got a copy
together.
coming in the mail. I'll wait till the physical comes in and then we'll play.
Andrew will play with us. My daughter can play with us. It's great because she yells at the top of her lungs the whole time. You'll love it. It's just like you like someone just screaming the whole time, right?
Depends on if it is in happiness or in rage.
It's everything all at once. When you're 6, it's all emotions. All emotions are yelled.
As long as there's some energy behind it, that's fine.
And you know what else is yelled? This plug for our Patreon. You go to patreon.com/retrowarriors.
That wasn't a yell.
It was a yell. It was yell-ish. All right.
You need to yell at least enough to wake up your child.
Go to our Patreon. You can get uncut versions of this show, Talking Wizards, other things. Please rate and review us. We like it when you do that. It makes us feel good, and we like that it happened.
Justin likes it.
Yeah, I like it. Saturn hates it. So if you want to make me happy, or if you like upsetting Saturn, well, you can do both at once. Like the following patrons, starting with Gimme Some of Justin's Sweet Meaty Deck.
I was waiting to make sure you enunciated all of that perfectly.
I didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah. Also, Casey McGinty.
Mike Rotondo.
Norman.
Zero Scroll. Fernando Benavides.
Chris Minocci.
Chuck Angeline.
Matt Kovacs.
Jerry Voss.
And Space Bruce.
Are all the people we want to thank for being wonderful patrons of ours. And you can be too.
Indeed.
That was my ominous.
That was a bizarre voice.
That's good. Better than a normal voice, I guess.
Well, different. Let's not say better.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening to me talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for an hour and 10 minutes.
You made it.
I appreciate that you put up with me doing that for this long, and I'll be back next week to complain about how the 80s TV show is not as good as I remember or anyone remembers it being after I watched it on VHS in my living room for a week.
That's good.
You'll
have to get a tally of how many times one character is talking and a different character's mouth is moving.
Oh, yeah, I should do that. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. And as always, let us cling together.